In the absence of an effective federal response to the disastrous situation at the southern border, the state of Texas has taken it upon itself to do what it can do to slow down and manage the flood of migrants who have been crossing into the United States through their border with Mexico. Well, friends, this may be hard to believe, but the Biden administration is literally considering taking action for migrants to remain not in Mexico, like President Trump had done, but for migrants to remain in Texas. I mean, this sounds like something you might read from Babylon Bee. Can they really do that? Well, with me now to discuss this and more is Ken Cuccinelli. He's a senior fellow at the Center for Renewing America and the former acting deputy secretary of the Department of Homeland Security under President Trump. Ken, welcome back to Washington Watch. Always great to see you.
Good to be with you, Jody.
Well, listen, first question, can they do this? What are you hearing, this possible move by the administration? Is this for real?
Well, the reporter who got it was always talented at getting inside information when I was leading parts of the Department of Homeland Security. And he obviously still has his sources. So I definitely think they intend to do this, although this one is so obviously outrageous that simply publicizing it may defeat it. We shall see. If not, and they proceed, and by the way, Jody, you'll recall they may come out and deny it, but they denied they were trying to ban gas stoves too, and they proceeded to do that. But if they try to do it and implement it, Texas will be in a very good legal position to confront the federal government on this latest insanity related to their means of opening the border. And as you noted, Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has finally, after 2 years, begun repelling people coming into Texas. They won a legal victory today on that subject. And it was against the federal government that's trying to stop Texas from protecting its international border, even while the same Biden administration is trying to contain migrant families within Texas. So a Remain in Texas program. And I liked how you introduced that. It sounds like something that would be a headline in the Babylon Bee. And of course, if you follow the Babylon Bee, they're a satire site for those who don't know. It's amazing how often their lunatic headlines become true, but with the help of liberal, crazy Democrats.
Yeah, you are so right about that. You can go back and just see how accurate the absurdity has actually turned out to be reality. So you're saying that this the Biden administration can do this. Now, whether or not they will would be, I think, a huge political risk. And Texas has been doing a lot, as you described. I mean, they've not only been getting no help, though, from this administration, they've actually been getting a lot of grief and a lot of pushback. So what's your take on the efforts of Governor Abbott in Texas in their attempts to protect not only their state, but the entire country?
Well, in his efforts to protect Texas, he ends up protecting us all. Well, honestly, at the Center for Renewing America, we were really pushing hard for more than 2 years for Governor Abbott to start repelling invaders across that southern border, and he refused to do it. He ran what he called Operation Lone Star, literally spent billions of dollars of Texas money without any effect on the flow of illegals into Texas or the United States, until finally this May, when the Biden administration said they were going to remove the Title 42 public health order on the international border, which made it easy to turn illegals back without having to go through immigration due process. Well, Texas has the authority as a border state under Article 1, Section 10 of the Constitution to repel invaders on its own. And they simply declined to do that until this May. And they're still getting better at it. They're learning how to do it. But they started putting up the barbed wire. You all have seen that. They've put up the buoy wall in one part of the border. And there's a picture of the buoy wall that was the subject of litigation, including a court order today. The Fifth Circuit said that buoy wall can stay today, and thus making it harder for illegals to cross at that high traffic area. So Texas is now taking some real affirmative steps to keep people from ever getting into the country in the first place. And once you're doing that reliably, Jody, then you will actually see a drop in the number of attempted crossings. That's the kind of deterrence that's peace through strength at the border. You stop people from coming in, guess what? When they don't think they can get in, they stop coming. But only Texas is doing that right now. We will undoubtedly see shifts by the cartels because they control the traffic to other parts of the border, the New Mexico, Arizona, and Florida borders. Nonetheless, that will, to some degree, reduce the flow of illegals into this country. So for all the money Texas spent up to now they're really having an effect.
Yeah, absolutely, and good for them for taking that initiative. And I know you've been all over the southern border. You've seen it firsthand. I've seen it firsthand. I've been to every one of the 9 sectors, and from every perspective have looked at this thing. It is astonishing to me, Ken, how this administration, the Biden administration, seems to think that they're managing the border situation well. I mean, come on, give me an assessment, having been there yourself, having been in this role, give an assessment of their handling of the border. So
it's important to understand that what you and I see at the border, and we recognize as an insecure border and a disaster, is their intended policy. This is not a mistake. This is an administration where the radical left, the Marxist left, has the wheel of the Biden administration. To give you an example, Jody, Democrat voters, forget independents and Republicans, Democrat voters have disapproved of Joe Biden's immigration policies for over 2 years. Joe Biden has been underwater with Democrat voters who disapprove of this open border since about March of 2021, literally only 2 months after he was sworn in as president. So not even ordinary Democrats that live in your neighborhood and mine support these policies. Yet this is the intention. This is what they want. They want millions of people to come in. The plan is to give them amnesty so they will be grateful and can vote for more Democrats of like mind. And so you can see where that would go, taking America farther and farther to the left. And this was in the election bill, H.R. 1. You remember H.R. 1, Jody?
Yep. And I was heavily involved in that, yeah.
Yes, I know. And in that bill, they had language that ordered states to dump all adults, not citizens, adults, in their state databases, including, for example, legal and illegal aliens who get driver's licenses, onto the voter rolls. And they decriminalized those people voting in federal elections. So technically, it's illegal for a non-citizen to vote in a federal election, but they eliminated the penalty. Why do you suppose they did that? So that these millions of people could flood the polls and turn elections in grateful favor to those who gave them amnesty.
Absolutely. And it just looks like, and we've got to leave it here, but it looks like the Department of Homeland Security they have their eye off the ball. They're more focused on things like LGBTQ than they are with what their job should be. Ken Cuccinelli, always great seeing you. Thank you for joining us on Washington Watch.
Good to see you too, Jody. Have a great weekend.